Alright, hello everybody, it's 444RR with the next all-new School of Magic, the show where I bring you an easy magic trick you can do to fool your friends and family. I'll teach you how it's done after I perform it. Classes in session every Friday here at the School of Magic. Alright, before we get to the video, before we get to the class for tonight, I should say, I want to talk about the Magic Geek video contest. If you haven't heard, I was the winner of that contest, beating out Ryan Harding and Kessler for first place. And first place prize is a shopping spree at Magic Geek with Chris Ballinger. Over video, Chris Ballinger is going to help you pick out tricks, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm really excited to go on a shopping spree with Chris Ballinger at Magic Geek. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, but we're here at the School of Magic. Let's actually do the trick for tonight. Tonight's called Triumph. It's a classic of Magic, been around forever, but it's a really cool trick, and I'm going to show you two separate ways you can perform Triumph. These are two ways that I do it. I'm going to show you both ways to perform it, and then what I'm going to do is I am going to teach you both ways. So the first way works like this, and you can use my pattern or you can make up your own. It's completely up to you. So I have a, first you show the audience you have a normal deck of cards. And I'll go into my pattern like this. I was doing a show in a restaurant a couple weeks ago. And I came up to this table. It was a table that had a family there. And there was a little kid there. And the kid asked me when I was doing my show, he's like, I want to help out in the next trick. So I said, okay. I asked him, do you know how to mix up cards? And the little kid said, yes, I do. I said, okay, take these cards and mix them up. What I didn't know was I was talking to his parents who were sitting across on the other side of the table, and I wasn't watching the kid, but he started turning over packets of cards like this. And as he was turning them over, he's making my cards a giant mess, which isn't very good because, turning packets of cards over like this, it's not going to be very good to do that. So I didn't know he was doing that. So when I took the cards back, I looked through the cards and found some cards were back to front, some cards were front to back, and some cards were even back to back. So I didn't know he was doing this, but I said, okay, you know what? I'm a magician, and I need to do a really cool trick for this kid. So I gave the cards a little snap, just like that. And when I fanned through the cards, notice that every single card is now back facing the correct way. And that is Triumph. All right, that's the one way I do it. There's another way to do it, which I think is even cooler than doing it this way. So what I'll do for this next one is I'll talk about time travel. And I'll say we're going to go on a little time travel trip here. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to choose any one of these cards. Now, you can look at the card. It's okay. You don't have to look at it. Normally, I don't look at the card. And I will say something like this. I will say, okay, go and look at the card. For this demonstration, I'm going to show you the card, the Seven of Hearts. And I'll say, I'm going to cut the card. You place the card right back in there. Very good. And we'll cut the cards back. I'm going to give them another cut like this. I'll even shuffle the cards so they're somewhere like that. That's perfect. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. I'm going to take packets of cards and turn over these packets of cards. Now, we call this in Magic a mess. Okay, we call this in Magic a mess. So I'm going to go ahead and just turn over these cards like that. And notice that we have some cards that are back to front, some cards are front to back, and some cards are even back to back. And all I have to do is give it just a little snap like this. And if we time travel, I'm going to be able to time travel back to know what your card is. Take a look. If I give these cards just a little fan like this, notice that one card is now reversed. And it happens to be your card, the Seven of Hearts. All right, and that's two ways to perform Triumph. Very fun trick, and let me tell you how the trick works the exact same way both times, except for the card revelation Triumph. You have to do one extra step. Here's what you're going to do. For regular Triumph and for the second routine, when I had the selected card, what I did is you just take a couple cards, like 4 or 5, and you turn them over, and then you go below the pack of cards. You have this pack of cards here. You go beneath that about 4 or 5 cards, and you turn them over. You keep doing that. Go below this packet, 4 or 5 cards, turn them over. Below this packet, 4 or 5 cards, turn them over. Below this packet, 4 or 5 cards, turn them over. And normally the last time, which I didn't do in the performance, I turned the whole deck over. So now what you do is if you cut close to the top, the deck has already set itself to reset. Let me show you. If I fan these cards out, notice that this top half is all face up and the bottom half's all face down. So you're set. So if you cut somewhere in the top half of the deck and you turn the deck over, it's going to look like the cards are front to back. And if you cut below the middle of the deck, like somewhere towards the bottom, and you turn the deck over, it's going to look like some cards are back to front. And then, if you hold the cards in your hand or on the table, back-to-back cards are it's kind of like the rough and smooth kind of option, but for somehow the deck naturally bellows itself where the back-to-back cards are. So if you hold it in your hand, you're going to see a little break in the cards. If you lift up right at that break, you're going to have cards that are back-to-back. So just lift up right at that break. And honestly, sometimes when you pick the cards up, it naturally wants to cut right at the back-to-back cards. Watch, I'll cut it again, and it cuts right at that back-to-back card. Any deck of cards will do it. I find that a newer deck of cards is a lot easier to do it than an old deck of cards. Sometimes it may not cut exactly at that break at the back-to-back cards, but a newer deck will cut it every time. So you cut, and then you say, and some cards are even back-to-back. You take the pile in one hand, place it right on the bottom, and now you've just reset the entire deck so it's back all facing the same way. But your spectators are going to think that the deck is all mixed up, so there's going to be no way for you to unmix it without having to actually go over and turn over each card. So that's normal Triumph. You just turn over cards like this, like that, like this, like that, like this, and then you can show that some cards are back to front, some are front to back, and some are even, again, like I said, it doesn't cut all the time. Some are even back to back. You cut, show, and then boom. And don't just do what I did there. Make sure you really build it up. Talk about how, oh, we're going to try to get these cards. And if you use my pattern, I talk about the little kid mixing up and messing up my show. I'm a magician. I can get out of it. Boom. And just like that. Another pattern that I use for the regular part, this first Triumph routine that I did, I'll usually say sometimes it was an adult, it was a heckler trying to heckle me during my show, so he turned over all the cards and tried to cause a mess during my show, but I can get out of it with being a magician, snap, and then show all the cards. Now, for the time travel one that I did, it's the same exact thing, except you have a card selected, and you can do one of two things. If you're just starting out in Magic, the card can be selected and can be set right on top of the deck, and you can shuffle the card to the bottom. All you do to take this top card to the bottom is just thumb off with your thumb one card into the other hand, and boom, you've already loaded the spectator selected card to the bottom. And then you can shuffle the rest of the cards right on top, so you're keeping that bottom card where it is. You can also have the spectator put the card right on the bottom of the deck, and you can do the riffle shuffle we learned last week, where you thumb off the bottom card first, and then the rest of the deck can go right on top. And you can do that a couple times, which makes it so that it keeps that bottom card exactly where it's at. So the bottom card never moves. The way I did it in the performance, though, is I cut the cards. I placed this card right back on top, and I held a break with the cards. And holding a break works like this. You place the rest of the cards right on top, and all you do is you place the tip of your pinky right in there. So you hold a little break in the card. So when you look at it from the front, if you hold the break just right and don't over-exaggerate that break like this, you can't see anything from the front. But from the side, you're going to be able to see there's a little break in the cards there. So you want to make sure that you don't flash that. So if you are going to do the holding a break, just hold the cards towards yourself like this and hold them close to your body. So you have a break in there. Make sure not to lose that card. Make sure to keep a nice break. Don't overly exaggerate the break either. So don't shove your pinky all the way in there, because that's a little too much of a exaggeration. So just a little bit, like the tip of your pinky, basically just the tip goes in there. Holds the break, and you're going to take everything above your pinky, cut, and transfer it to the bottom. Now what you've done is bring that card back to the top. Simple as that. And then you just do the shuffle where you take your finger, thumb off the top card, and then you just thumb off the rest of them like that. And that gets the card back to the bottom. So when you do it up to speed, you cut the cards, you place it right there, you hold a break in there, and then you cut, you do this, and it looks like you're just losing that card somewhere in the deck. So pretty simple, pretty simple. Another thing you can do too, if you want, is take the card, slide it in the deck like this, and just push the card up as you're sliding it in. What this is going to do is, I'll try to get this on camera, you're going to push this up, slide it in, and get the break. below that card. So now the card's going to be on this half of the pile, and you're going to get that same break, but now the card is going to be on this half of the deck. Instead of being this top card, it's going to be down there. And all you have to do now is when you slide the card in, I'm going to get back set up here. Slide the card in, hold the break. All you have to do is cut the cards, and now you have that card right on the bottom. So it eliminates one step if you want to do it that way. Doesn't matter, any way you want to do it. So now you do the same thing. You turn packets of cards over just like this. Turn this packet over, turn this packet over, then you turn this packet over, turn this one over, turn this one over, turn this one over, but you're going to leave the bottom card. So you're going to turn this packet over, but leave the bottom card. And then you're going to turn that bottom card over. So let me get this back up to speed here. Let me get rid of that card. We're going to get this reset. So you have that card on the bottom. Here's what it looks like done up to speed. So you turn this packet over, you turn this packet over, this packet goes over, this packet goes over, bottom card stays, and you turn the bottom card over. And now what that does is you're set and ready to go. So now on the bottom of the deck, you're going to have the top portion is going to be all the face-up cards. The middle portion is going to be all of the face-down cards, and then you're going to have one face-up card on the bottom, which is going to be very important when you reset the trick. So you show some cards are front to back. Some cards, remember, cut a little higher. Cut a little higher this time, but not too high where you're going to get back up into this bank of cards. You want to cut, because if you cut too far down, you may cut that bottom card. You don't want that. So cut a little bit higher and say some cards are back to front, and some cards are even back to back. What you're going to do is do the same move as before, where you take this packet and you're going to place it right here on the bottom. Now, what that does is if I spread these out, it gets every card back in the correct order except for their card. So I like doing this version of Triumph a little better just because you have that added revelation of, boom, there's the card. It's the only face-up one. So that's kind of cool. So it's very, very cool. Another way you can do this Triumph routine, and I haven't quite worked it out yet. I saw a local magician do this exact same thing. He talked about time travel, and what he did was basically he had a card sticking out the whole time. He showed it to be a different card, and then at the end of the trick, the spectator was holding on to the end of the card like this. And at the end of the trick, the card was switched for this one. It was really cool. So I can't quite figure out how that one works. But you can definitely just do it where this card is the only face-up card in a face-down deck. So that is Triumph. That's going to be the School of Magic for this Friday. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Also, thank you for voting me the winner of Magic Geek's video contest. Really means a lot to me, and I'll definitely do an unboxing of my prizes when I actually do my shopping spree and the prizes actually get here to me. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next Friday for an all-new The School of Magic. Classes in session every Friday. I pour it right inside of here, and notice that the milk, of course, you get the 2 tubes, and you get a certain amount of bottles. Let me grab one of the bottles. Series on my channel where every single Friday I'll be uploading a brand new video in which I'll teach you how to do an easy magic trick